We begin with the deal to raise the debt ceiling, now heading to the president's desk. The Senate passed the bill after a marathon of negotiations and a bitter standoff. Now the president is set to sign it into law to avoid a default. ABC's Jay O'Brien joins me from Capitol Hill, along with ABC's Elizabeth Schulze at the White House for more. Jay, this bill passed the Senate 63 to 36. It lost support from the far right and left flanks of both parties. So what went into actually getting it across the finish line?
Well, the thing that really was remarkable with all of this was the timing here. So at the beginning of the week, we heard Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer warning of the possibility that there could be a vote on this today, Friday, even over the weekend. And remember, as we've been saying, Diane, Monday is that X date. But then we saw the Senate kick into high gear last night, breezing through votes on various amendments to this, and then, of course, bringing this for a vote late last night, something that we don't typically see the Senate do, voting on that expedited schedule. And it's called, in many ways, it has a name here on Capitol Hill, which is called Senate magic. When the Senate wants to go home, when they're staring down the barrel of a weekend, which they are gone today, they can kick it into high gear. And also when the topic is as crucial as this. And so that is what we saw the Senate do. There was never any doubt that they had the votes to pass this. It was whether or not they could pass it in time, and they certainly did that last night.
Elizabeth, how's the White House responding to the Senate passing the deal?
Diana, the president released a statement once this passed last night saying it is a big win that the U.S. was able to avoid this dire scenario really within just days of the government running out of cash. The president applauded the Senate for passing it and said that every side came together. But he did repeat this line that we've heard multiple times from the White House, that this was a compromise, that every side did not get what they wanted, and a nod to the fact that some on both sides of the aisle didn't end up voting for this. But at the end of the day, the president said lawmakers came together to get done what needed to get done.
Jay, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is painting this as a victory for Democrats. He says the bill beat back the worst of the Republican agenda. So what are you hearing from lawmakers on that front?
Well, we're hearing spin really on both sides of the aisle trying to paint this as a victory in some form or another. It began when it passed the House on Wednesday. You heard Democrats say that they believe, one Democrat going as far as to say they rolled Republicans because the Republicans didn't get much out of this deal. In this one Democrat's point of view, we heard Speaker McCarthy calling this a win because President Biden was dragged to the negotiating table after saying he wouldn't negotiate with Republicans over the debt ceiling. Last night, Schumer echoing that, but worth pointing out here, Diane, Chuck Schumer told ABC's This Week months ago that he could only pass a clean debt ceiling in his chamber, and he called for the notion of a clean debt ceiling to be passed. And this obviously was not a raising of a clean debt ceiling. So both sides had to make compromises, as you heard Elizabeth say. Both are now going to go home to their respective districts and states and tout this as a win. But the reality is this is something that was passed in the middle. The moderates of both parties in the House and in the Senate getting together to get this over the goal line.
Elizabeth, President Biden is set to address the nation tonight. What can we expect?
A rare Oval Office address from President Biden tonight at 7 p.m. in the primetime hour. The president going to talk about the fact that this deal got done, that lawmakers came together, found that common ground to pass this bipartisan budget agreement and avert the threat of a default. Now, this is something we don't often see, this kind of address from the Oval Office, more of a formal setting for something like this. The president has been hesitant to take really what would be a victory lap because of the acknowledgement that there were concessions made during this negotiation, but ultimately it's likely the message will focus on the fact that the economy avoided that worst case scenario, and that at the end of the day, households can not worry about this fear of a first ever default, something that has been weighing on the economy, weighing on the markets, weighing on the global outlook more broadly too, Diane.
All right, Jay O'Brien, Elizabeth Schulze, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.